On the profile interview segment this week, we will be listening to the president of the Joint Health Workers Union and also the Minister of Labour. They will both be discussing with me and informing us if there's any end in sight following the strike by the Health Workers Union. It's good to have you on the program, sir.
It's a pleasure to meet you here. Thank you.
Once again, I'm here because it's very important that we get it straight when it comes to the issue of the health workers strike. There's this news going around that the Minister of Labour and the Minister of Health insist that there is no signed agreement in 2014. How true is this?
I wouldn't want to go much into that because what he meant by there was no signed agreement, I am aware there were memoranda of understanding between the then government and the then leadership of JOESU before my coming. And that also metamorphosed into our continued discussions. And this issue came up sometime when later Ocholi, when he intervened to settle these issues. And this statement was made. The very learned son, in his blessed memory, educated the House then that as far as he is concerned, a memorandum of understanding entered by parties is a valid agreement. But we have passed that stage, to be very candid. Last year, September 2017, we entered a memorandum of terms of settlement, duly signed by the Minister of Labour, who was the conciliator, and then the Minister of Health, and other top government functionaries, including incomes and wages. So if one says there was no agreement before last year, from last year to now, it's a long period. So I don't see how signing an agreement before the last year agreement or not should have even come to surface in this discussion.
Are there any documents to prove that there was actually an agreement between the union and the government then?
There are.
Any document to prove this?
There are documents, and even now. Or are you talking about, actually, I never really want to go back into what, as you know, a lot of events have overtaken. Right now, we're talking about the one you have signed. Have you implemented it? Or is it being kept so that by next year, another position will come that, oh, there was no agreement signed in 2017?
But if we insist that the government is actually playing politics by saying that there is no signed document, what do you think is the way forward to ensure that you meet at a leveling point? If I may ask, how many meetings has the government actually had with you following this more than 2-week strike?
I'll say we've met about, I think twice. We met twice and we adjourned for one reason or the other. The last one, when we met, actually we were to look at some issues, but there were documentary irregularities, this age of computer. You may want to get something out somewhere, and they said it was actually, the expert said it was a printer error, which of course, we all agree that we have to dust up and then bring back to the table.
How do you feel that even though health professionals have been on strike for more than 2 weeks, the government has barely met the union for more than 2 times? What's your take on this?
To be very candid, I cannot really give explanation to why the government or the Ministry of Health is behaving this way. Because it's not so usually when our brothers in the same industry embark on actions. They are swiftly treated, and that's the partiality or the bias that we've been talking about in the industry that has never brought the peace that we needed in the industry. When one man's agitation, whether wrong or right, is given swift attention, and another man's genuine agitation is taken with levity and most times on seriousness. So you should judge for yourself. You may ask them why they have not resolved the issue. It's not just, meeting is not even the issue. Are we meeting with the point or the position of resolving the issue? If we meet and someone says, that we are asking for, we meet here and then maybe the next moment somebody saying, we are asking for doctor's salary, equal salary with doctors. That means the person has a fixed position. A fixed position. And we are saying we are not asking for doctor's salaries.
Right now, patients are actually the ones suffering. Most Nigerian federal hospitals are actually discharging patients without being well. I would like to take you back to the last strike that happened in 2014 that actually took for about 3 to 4 months. We know that government is continuous. We know that it was the then administration of President Goodluck Jonathan. And we also remember very clearly that President Comrade Ayuba Waba was the president of the Medical and Health Workers Union. Has he actually made any comment or tried to actually see if there's a way that it can help to ensure that you meet at a leveling point with the government?
The President Ayuba Waba, who is now the NLC president, he's not a person who minces his words. On the Labor Day, on May Day here, in his address, it is contained. He stated clearly that there were agreements or memorandum of understanding before he left, and that it is always, these issues are continuing because government have always refused to meet agreements they enter into, and that he called that government should find a solution to this current issue because it is something that should not have been allowed to happen. It's preventable. These are things that Ayuba is somebody that's always, wants the best for this nation, and so you can't remain silent on such matter.
During the last interview, you promised that if the government does not actually yield to your demands, there will be other measures that will be taken to ensure the government meets you at the round table to get results. Have you done so?
Well, we have, but I still tell you, the action, the states would have joined, states and local governments would have joined as of seconds. But because we still have that regard for Nigerians, because when we take it to the states and the local governments, you will see they do not have some of the privileges that some people in these cities like Abuja, Lagos, and others have. Like private clinics are not in the local government areas. And it is because of that we are being cautious. We just hope that the government will also have that, compassion for the Nigerian people and solve this problem, because these are genuine demands. This is an agreement entered into in 2017. This is an agreement that ought to have been completed in 5 weeks. This same government concluded an agreement that was signed on the 6th of September in 15 days. So what is the problem? What is the barrier? What is the interest? And I'm asking, what is the profit they think they will get from continuing this?
In the interest of peace, if the government insists that there is no signed agreement, is there any possibility that the demands, the 15 demands made by Joesu can be represented to ensure that a final solution is actually made?
No, I think we need to depart from that no signed agreement issue. I think the ministry also, on a paid advert on the paper, tried to retract its words by saying it is not saying there is no agreement at all. But it meant there was no agreement in 2014, but now they have agreement. Because
definitely in 2014, whether there was no signed agreement or not, there will be a communique. Yes. And the Minister of Health actually insists that there's another committee set up, there was another committee set up in 2017. So is there any difference between the Memorandum of Understanding met in 2014 and that of which was actually set up in 2017?
In a nutshell, I would say this. The issue of agreement or no agreement has been laid to rest by the acceptance of the government that yes, there is a duly entered agreement in 2017, signed by the Chief Conciliator, the Minister of Labor, and the Minister of Health, are party to that agreement. So right now, I think it is after that episode of no agreement, and after we have proved that there was an agreement, that the next line of argument of we are asking for doctors' salary, equal pay with doctors, came up. And to that, we have also forwarded the documents to disprove that position. A situation where a doctor at entry in the old CONS, before the adjustment for them, a doctor at entry goes home with 260,000 naira. And then other health professionals, like the one that enters at level 8, which is CONS 7, goes home with 118,000 naira.
If the government does not yield to your demands, what are you going to do as the president of JOESO?
Well, we move forward. We have taken decision that even though we have a deep concern for Nigerians, that if the government refuses to have that concern for Nigerians, we will then move to the next stage of action, which is, as we have agreed, letting the states and local governments to join the action, as we have communicated on the 9th, from the 9th, with effect from the 9th of this month. States and local governments are to join, and meetings are being called to actually give them that energy to start off the process. We have also agreed that we will also go to the next stage of picketing, which is, of course, is our right. We can exercise rights of picketing during or outside the strike. We can. And then, if need be, we could also go into, protests on the streets, because we are not fairly treated, because we are treated like slaves, because rather than treating the issue, lies are peddled, untrue stories, falsification of facts is being spread to malign us before Nigerians, so that Nigerians will say that we are asking for too much. That is what they're trying to brand us, but we will not give in to that blackmail.
It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you and welcome.
It's good to have you on the program, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
A lot is happening actually in the labor sector, and top of it at the moment is the health workers strike, which has been ongoing for more than 2 weeks. And the leadership actually accused the federal government that they've only met twice, and the government has actually insisted that there was no signed agreement in 2014. What's your take on this?
Well, from my vantage position here, I can straight away tell you that it's not only twice we've met. We've met more than twice. Their major employer is the Federal Ministry of Health. They're their main employers. They're part of government, the government department, government ministry. So they declared their strike, or they resuscitated what they call the suspended strike action, which has no place in labor parlance. I've told them that. There is workers on essential services. They should give them mandatory notices before they go. They must conform to ILO standards in declaring their strike. As a matter of fact, those on essential services are not expected to go on strike. That's what the labor law says. And if they go on strike too, the labor laws, both here and that of ILO, permits their employers to take certain actions to protect themselves and render services. So we've been trying, and we made some progress last time because government had given them an offer. They brought their counter offer last week, but they had some incongruities in what they presented, so they withdrew their presentation, and that's why they're back today. I'm hopeful that we will do the right thing. I have told them, Health Ministry has also told them, we can't get parity between health workers and other medical doctors. It has never happened before.
But the union claims that they're not asking for equality but equity.
Good. And that is why what they presented the last time was incongruous. And they had to go because what they gave us was grade level by grade levels at par with that of the medical doctors who are on Congress scale. Because you know you can do what you call a scale juxtaposition. If you juxtapose, for example, Congress 9 is the equivalent of COMMES, which is that of the medical
doctors does not actually start with the same grade level the health professionals actually start with. The fact remains that there are so many health professionals that are actually being underpaid compared to some of their colleagues in other climes.
No. Don't mix two issues. You are mixing apple and oranges. Medical doctors from time when I qualified, I'm a medical doctor, you know. We have always taken a grade level higher than others because of the length of time of the training. And as some people will tell you, the hardness of the course. I don't know what is hardness of the course, but that's the language they use. So we will get to somewhere because, like you now said, they have promised the negotiation team that both sides have agreed that they're not asking for parity. That what they are asking for is for them to come relatively near as per the old time. And so we work it out. We're not reinventing the wheel.
So how soon do we intend to get this result done so that they can go back to work and we have much more patients being attended to in the hospitals?
Government is very, very serious about it, and that's why government has even considered them some fund and said, under the canopy of this fund, let us work out something that will make for the relativity you're asking for. So, so they have taken the fund, they have gone back. They are supposed to work on a sliding scale and come up with something.
What should Nigerians be expecting?
We're going there to ask them again to call off the strike. That is the thing Nigerians should be expecting from them.
So do you have any message for those that are actually affected, which is actually the patients? Because in Nigerian hospitals, most especially the federal ones at the moment, they are discharging patients without being treated.
Well, that's a very, very disheartening situation. Because nobody in the health sector, be you a doctor, be you a health, another health professional, you're not supposed to go on strike. And like I made it clear to even the doctors when they had their own issues. I said, you are not like university teachers who drop the chalk and go away, walk away. When they come back, they teach by morning, teach by afternoon, teach by night to make up for the syllabus. But this sort of time, once a patient drops dead because you are not there to render the required services, we can't replace that life. The person is gone and is gone forever. So there are two different scenarios, two different situations completely. So it baffles me when I have to, as chief conciliator here, be begging people to get back, especially those on essential services, like these health workers, like the doctors, whenever they say they're withdrawing services. So I'm going into the negotiation again to impress it on them that even in the shooting wars, after shooting, after artillery bombardment, after aerial bombardment and everything, you still come back to the negotiating table.
It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us same time next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember, live or create wealth.